Hello everyone, and welcome to my ABCGH Spoilers channel. Willow is appointed to Drew's seat in Congress. Plus, cutthroat, Cain gets another bomb dropped on him. At home, Willow checks in on the medically locked-in Drew when her doorbell rings. It's Sidwell, and he says moment is the day she begins her career in politics. Willow sorely declines his generous offer. No way say no to Sidwell. Willow explains she just got her kitties back and they need her full attention. Sidwell will take no for an answer and reminds her of what he's done for her. So refusing isn't an option. Sidwell explains she'll be the noble woman standing by her man. And she's relatable to choosers as a working mama. They both know she hates her hubby, but that's a small matter, and this will give her the power to stand up to Michael and keep her children with her forever. However, she'll have a long and happy life with her kitties if she cooperates with him. Na drops by and finds Sidwell there, and he explains he was checking on Drew and Willow participated her awful news with him. Na realizes she's decided to take Drew's seat and is thrilled. Na asks her son to go put on that new power suit and get ready. Willow defenses herself to change, and Sidwell says he knows Nina helped Drew get tagged. So Willow is lucky to have her to guide her. Willow laterally appears in her pink power suit and departs with Nina. As Sidwell wants to visit with Drew unrest, Sidwell goes to see Drew, who blinks as to Jens. Sidwell tells him that he knows Willow put him in this bed, so save the torture signal. Sidwell explains he came to the conclusion that Willow shot him and would be open to his offer of help. He handed Willow with the medicines to keep him locked in and did so as Drew came a nuisance in his side and to Willow as well. He breaks the news that Willow is taking his seat in Congress. Jason updates Sonny. Jason stops by Sonny's to brief him on his meeting with Cullum and the fact that Jack Brennan is also one of Cullum's adversaries. Jason says Cullum's position allows him to cover Sidwell, and he's way more dangerous than Jens. The sooner Cullum is dead, the better. Sonny asks about the issue with Britt's meds. Jason says that's where Lucas comes by. He's going to try to help them get the meds and replicate them. Once they secure them, they can take Cullum out. And also, Brennan might be suitable to take Seidel down for them. Trina gets a special caller. At Trina's apartment, Kai's phone is blowing up as they're about to advertise Drew's relief moment. As he deals with the dispatches, Trina checks in with the gallery only to accidentally call her mama. She snappily hangs up. She admits she's been thinking of texting her, but she didn't end as she doesn't understand why she's still with Isaiah when he's not the father of the baby. Isaiah stops by Portia's office. The croaker sees Trina called her and hung up. Isaiah says it could have been a fun dial or perhaps she got another call. Portia says they haven't spoken since she set up the baby was Curtis. She's hopeful effects will turn around formerly the baby is born. Back at Trina's, Trina reflections to Kai that she's not ready to accept Isaiah as part of her mama's life. That's when Isaiah knocks on her door. Trina reluctantly invites him in to talk, and Kai heads out to see what's passing at Drew's office. Trina tells Isaiah to say what he has to say, making it clear she doesn't like him. He says he cares about Portia and doesn't anticipate her to like him, but to suppose about what this rift is doing to her mama. Isaiah also departs. Trina looks at her mama's number in her phone. Alexis shares her good news. Alexis welcomes Diane back to the office and brings her friend up to speed on Laura's request that she take Drew's congressional seat. She officially told Laura last night she'd take the job and it'll be blazing this autumn. Diane is thrilled for her, but says that before this goes public, she should give Sonny a heads up. Alexis calls Sonny to break the news to him, and he's surprised, but thinks she'll do a great job and congratulates her. Back at Sonny's, he tells Jason that Laura just made a big mistake. Sonny fears Alexis will figure out in no time that Laura is taking orders from Sidwell. Ezra relays orders to Laura. Ezra shows up at Laura's office with orders from Sidwell. He wants Willow to take Drew's seat. Laura and do it as she's formally offered the seat to Alexis, and the press conference is set to advertise it this autumn. Ezra reminds her that Sidwell is dangerous, and it's unwise to say no to him. Laura asks why Willow. She has no communal experience, so why would she be interested in this job? She snappily realizes that Sidwell wants Willow because she's easy to impact. So, she's sticking with Alexis. Ezra gets a textbook and says the press conference is passing in 15 twinkles as he had banged up so she could end blind. Laura has decided to call Sidwell's Baranka and advertise Alexis as the seeker. In Diane and Alexis' office, Diane gets a textbook that Laura is about to give a press conference. Confused, Alexis says her conference is ant-listed until laterally and pulls up the live stream on her laptop. In the show's final moments, Trina shows up at her mama's office to see her. Sidwell tells Drew he advised him not to cross him, and he sees Willow's political career soaring once she becomes a widow. He warns Drew to stop with the SOS routine as his caregivers have been paid to look the other way, and he doubts anyone in Port Charles will be visiting him anytime soon. Laura begins her press conference. As Diane and Alexis watch from their office, Sidwell shares it over his phone with Drew and Sonny and Jason watch on television. Laura explains that Congressman Cain will no longer be suitable to serve out his term, and thus she's appointing his woman Willow Cain to take his seat. Sonny, Jason, Diane, and Drew are stupefied. Willow thanks Laura and the governor and says she has a lot to learn about politics. Still, as a nanny and mama, taking care of people is what she does. Stylish General Hospital spoilers for the week of March 2nd to 6th reveal that Willow Cain will have a Drew Cain problem to break, while Jocelyn Jacks could be in major trouble. Britt Westbourne will also worry about a parlous situation raising. So, let's talk about all the Geesh drama ahead. For starters, Lissel Auber wouldn't be willing to give up on Nathan West and Maxie Jones' unborn together. That means Albrecht could resort to conniving against Nathan's budding love with Lulu Spencer and Max's relationship with Damon Spinelli. It looks like Lissel will try to move Britt to help her play Cupid for Maxie and Nathan, but there's no guarantee Britt will get on board. After all, Britt has much bigger issues to worry about at the moment, such like Jason Morgan's safety and how effects will turn out with Lucas Jones' new plot. Lucas plans to find and steal a drug cure from Windmere so that it can be finagled. Still, Britt will fret over the eventuality for Lucas to get caught, which could bring a double disaster that puts both their lives at stake. On another note, Laura Collins will feel the weight of Jen Sidwell's blackmail and may need a Vim talk from Sonny Corinthos soon. Sonny may have another strategy session with Laura after Sidwell forces her to recommend Willow to slide in Drew's Congress seat. Although Sonny will count on Lucy Company to uncover what Sidwell is importing and help him gain the upper hand, that plan will hit a hitch. Lucy may talk her way out of a tight spot. But will Sidwell's reservations be raised? As for Willow, she should go each in on Congress medication and look forward to having indeed further power. Willow formerly feels like she's in total control of Drew and wants to keep it that way, which is why this whole Congress thing presents a dilemma. Nina Reeves prompted Willow to suppose about putting Drew in a long-term care installation. But Willow needs to be in charge of Drew's care. Since Willow has to keep giving Drew his drug releases to keep him locked in, she'll have a lot to figure out. At some point, Kai Taylor is bound to pay Drew a visit and check on him. That could bring Drew's coming attempt to communicate. So perhaps Kai will realize Drew is in torture because of Willow and fight for further answers. Meanwhile, Jocelyn could be in further peril than ever if Ross Cullum figures out she's part of the WSB. Cullum was formerly suspicious of Jocelyn during their night together during the blizzard. So, he may dig deeper and uncover her secret. Jack Brennan is upset about Cullum using Jocelyn for operations that are too parlous, but the trouble to her safety is indeed worse than he thinks. Cullum could flat out want Jocelyn excluded if he realizes she knows too important about his part in Caesar Faison's final design. So, some disturbing news may be brewing. General Hospital spoilers say Jocelyn may land in further peril than she bargained for. General Hospital spoilers for Thursday, February 26th reveal that Willow Cain will find herself backed into a corner while Laura Collins prepares for a press conference. Jason Morgan will also make an oath to Sonny Corinthos as they get ready for a fatal outgrowth. At the law office, Diane Miller will push Alexis Davis to give Sonny a heads-up on commodity. Still, Alexis may get distracted due to the press conference that Laura is about to move forward with. When Ezra Bull pays Laura a visit and delivers some new orders from Jen Sidwell, she isn't going to like them. Ezra will contend they're in the same boat and prompt Laura to just do what Sidwell says, or differently. they'll both be in trouble. There's a good chance Laura will be instructed to recommend Willow as Drew Cain's Congress seat relief rather of Alexis. Laura may have no choice but to give Willow's name to the governor and maybe deliver a big press conference in support of Drew's woman. Alexis will be caught off guard once Laura changes effects up and may have questions for her soon enough. As for Willow, further Dubai may creep in about whether she's really over to this challenge. There's also the matter of Drew's care, since Willow needs to be around to give him his drug releases and shove him in a long-term care installation. Willow may try to tell Sidwell that she's not sure about this, but he'll contend they both know refusing isn't an option. By the end of this discussion, Willow may get scarified and realize Sidwell would avenge if she tried to reject his Senator Cain pitch. Over with Jason, he'll give Sunny news on his rearmost discussion with Ross Cullum. Jason will contend that the sooner this Joe is dead, the better. So, he'll formally again promise Sunny that they're going to wipe Cullum off the chart when they can. The same goes for Sidwell, but Sunny and Jason have to be careful about how they do since Sidwell has blackmail material to use as influence over Laura at Isaiah Gain and will canonize on Portia Robinson and contend that her want is his command. Portia may wish that Trina Robinson would give Isaiah a chance, so Isaiah may covenant to win her over. Isaiah will indeed seek Trina out on Thursday's show, so she'll realize he's asking for her blessing to be with Portia. Indeed, if Trina isn't willing to give it yet, Isaiah might make some progress with her. General Hospital spoilers say Portia and Isaiah's love will move forward anyhow. So stay tuned. General Hospital spoilers suggest that Jen's Sidwell may continue to Hela as Port Charles's top villain as he offs his own son, Marco Rios, for his treason. Marco is playing a veritably dangerous game with his father and in trouble to cover Lucas Jones, who's apprehensive of their cowardly plans. Marco is hiding the information from his father. Unfortunately, Pascal saw Lucas wiretapping on a hush-hush discussion between Marco and his prelately and didn't defy Lucas about it. Rather, he ran to Sidwell to unmask the sap, and now the miscreant has Lucas on his radar. Sidwell isn't a stupid man either. So during the Tuesday, February 24th occasion, he pushed back on Marco's suggestion that he and Lucas, or at the veritably least, just Lucas, move out of Windmere. Sidwell indeed questioned Marco about Lucas being in the know about anything commodity. Marco denied. Sidwell probably has a hunch that Marco knows Lucas knows about Sidwell's exploration design. Sidwell is keeping his son out of the circle, obviously to gain the upper hand, which means he may also have vengeance plans for Lucas and conceivably Marco. While it's hard to believe that Sidwell would harm his own son, he's as cutthroat as villains come in the land of detergents. In fact, if Jay wants to continue to make up Sidwell as a trouble, ending his own son's life would secure this. Sidwell is determined to see through Caesar Faison's final design, and nothing will get in his way. Not indeed Marco. Could Sidwell come up with a scheme to end both Lucas and Marco? It's hard to see Lucas exiting the oil as he's such a vital player in Port Charles, but Marco is expendable. GH suckers raised an eyebrow some months ago when casting pictures were released for the newer characters on the show. Still, Marcos was glaringly absent. He was in the only bone that was missing as Professor Henry Hank Dalton, played by Daniel Goddard, was in there, too. And we all know how that went. Sidwell ended up shooting the PCU professor shortly after this, ending that character's reign. Will Marco end up with the same fate? Whether it's a situation where Sidwell tries to lay off both of them, Lucas will probably escape the dilemma, but Marco could come a casualty. Also again, Marco may get the same treatment as Dalton got for his treason. A shot in the casket without a blink of an eye, so only time will tell. General Hospital spoilers allude that Marco's end would shoot shockwaves in PC, and Lucas would reel from the loss of his love. So, it'll be intriguing if the ABC cleaner pulls the detector on this kind of plot twist. In a twist that transferred shockwaves through the political and particular circles of General Hospital, Willow's quiet strength and steady moral compass suddenly thrust her into the public limelight when she was appointed to fill Drew's vacant seat in Congress. A move no bones saw coming, least of all Willow herself. What began as a reproach girding Drew's abrupt political downfall snappily evolved into an occasion that would test commitment, fracture alliances, and enkindle a fierce new contest with the ever-calculating Cain. Port Charles had slightly caught its breath after Drew's dramatic exit from Washington. A abdication wrapped in contestation, whispers of treason, and behind-scenes maneuvering when party leaders climbed to find a relief who could restore public trust and calm the media storm. While seasoned political interposers anticipated a power-empty stager to seize the part, the advertisement that Willow would step into the congressional seat stunned both critics and sympathizers likewise. Known more for her compassion and advocacy work than for political ambition, Willow originally dithered, understanding that accepting the appointment would mean entering a battleground far more ruthless than anything she had faced before. Yet those closest to her honored the fire beneath her calm surface, a determination forged through particular trials, heartache, and adaptability, and they knew she'd not take this responsibility smoothly. The appointment itself carried layers of emotional complexity. Drew's departure had left untreated enterprise and undetermined pressures, and stepping into his seat meant inheriting not just policy dockets, but the adversaries he'd accumulated along the way. Some suspected that party officers chose Willow precisely because of her clean character, hoping her integrity would neutralize the damage left before. Others suspected a strategic adventure place a compassionate stranger in power to win over skeptical choosers, while keeping further ambitious numbers at bay. For Willow, the decision was deeply particular. Accepting the seat was ant. It was about guarding the community she loved from opportunists ready to exploit the chaos. But if Willow's ascent shocked Port Charles, the real explosion came when Cain learned of the appointment. Machiavellian and unapologetically strategic, Cain had still deposited himself as the presumed successor, using backroom connections and promising broad reforms that accessibly aligned with his own interests. To him, the congressional seat was into calling it was influence, a stepping gravestone to lesser dominance. The news that Willow had been chosen rather hit him like a political earthquake. Intimately, Cain offered a tight-lipped statement of support, praising the party's bold decision while intimately seething over what he viewed as a calculated treason. Sources close to him revealed that he'd formally begun assembling a crusade structure, anticipating a nippy special election that would cement his power. Now, those plans lay in remains, replaced by a new ideal undermine Willow before she could solidify her footing. But Cain's troubles didn't end there. As if losing the congressional seat were ain't enough, another stunner exploded in his precisely curated world. Non-public information, the kind buried deep within sealed lines and discreet fiscal records, surfaced, hanging to expose questionable dealings tied to crusade benefactors and back-channel accommodations. Rumors swirled that a former supporter, disabused by Cain's ruthless tactics, had blurted the information as both vengeance and warning. The disclosure could have come at a worse time for him, with Willow stepping into a position of authority. The veritably panels, now overseeing implicit examinations, were suddenly within her sphere of influence. Though Willow had no intention of waging a particular vendetta, her unvarying commitment to translucency meant she'd not ignore corruption, no matter who it intertwined. The dynamic between Willow and Cain snappily converted into a high-stakes chess match where Cain reckoned on intimidation and strategic manipulation. Willow combed with authenticity and steady resoluteness. Her early days in Congress were marked by long nights studying policy briefings and meeting with community leaders, determined to prove she was further than an emblematic appointment. Critics prognosticated she'd deteriorate under pressure, but rather she demonstrated a surprising aptitude for concession, drawing on her empathy to ground divides others could cross. Meanwhile, Cain climbed to contain the fallout from the blurted information. Abettors reseated themselves, benefactors grew conservative, and whispers of a formal ethics review began circulating through political corridors. The irony was lost on Port Charles spectators. The man who flattered himself on anticipating every move had been blindsided not formally, but doubly. As the dust settled, it came clear that Willow's appointment represented further than a simple political negotiation. It marked a shift in the balance of power. Her presence challenged the notion that ruthlessness was a prerequisite for leadership. Yet the road ahead promised no deficit of conflict. Cain, cornered and lowered, wasn't the type to retreat quietly. However, the lapses hardened his resoluteness. If anything, Interposer suggested he might pursue a rival crusade, situating himself as the real leftist and painting Willow as inexperienced. But undervaluing her would be his topmost mistake. Those who truly knew Willow understood that beneath her gentle address lay an unbreakable will. She had faced particular tragedies, navigated complicated connections, and endured public scrutiny long before entering politics. Each experience had tempered her into someone uniquely equipped to repel pressure without losing her moral center. The unfolding drama gestured a new chapter, not just for Willow and Cain, but for the entire community. Sympathizers rallied behind Willow, inspired by the idea that integrity could triumph over ambition. Opponents watched nearly, staying for any misstep, and Cain, ever calculating, began conniving his coming move in the murk. Yet, with examinations brewing and public trust hanging in the balance, he set up himself playing defense for the first time in times. In the end, Willow's unanticipated rise in Cain's compounded lapses created a narrative that felt nearly lyrical. A memorial that power gained through manipulation can dematerialize in a moment, while leadership predicated in sincerity can flourish indeed in the harshest limelight. As Port Charles braced for the ineluctable clashes ahead, when verity came inarguable, the game had changed, and the woman many had considered a contender was now holding the cards.
It's